Did I ever tell you about time I saw a woman with a completely metal face?
No. What do you mean a metal face?
Completely metal face. It was like last November, and it was a dark, dank Sunday morning, really foggy, atmospheric, no one around. And I'm crossing the street, and I noticed this long, brunette-haired woman coming towards me. I look down, I'm watching the road, etc. And as I get nearer towards her, I notice a really weird thing. She's walking like a mannequin, very strangely. And then I said, "Morning, love," as you know we do of our generation. And I looked at her, completely metal. Is it convex? Face, the whole lot, with like, you know, remember Aunt Sally dolls? Fairgrounds.
Can't say I don't know.
Fairgrounds.
Oh yeah,
Painted on eyes with big eyelashes, little nose, and like a smiley mouth with lipstick. Painted, metal face. Didn't acknowledge me. Just sauntered off. I thought, oh, Christ, that's strange.
Is this true though?
Yeah.
I was waiting for a punchline.
No, because I was just thinking about all the weird things that happen in your life if you're out and about. Sometimes you can't explain them.
And they have a go at David Icke for lizard people.
I think he means that there's different planes of existence, and the more debased and what we perceive as evil you are, would be what we construe as reptilian type thing, whereas we look at the holy, not pious, but angelic type lifestyles as, the typical beautiful angel type visions things. So maybe he was taken too literally with that. And I think that got him into a lot of, what your newspapers are like.
Twist things.
Icke and lizard people, but yeah.
It's a bit like, I put a post on Facebook once, and it were about Prince Charles with his sausage fingers. I'm serious. Yeah. And I got accused of Charlie Boy were a butcher. I'm being serious. Have you ever seen his fingers?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not from the human race, are they?
I've seen that little signet ring that's embedded in meat.
Is that his 33-degree Mason ring?
Aliens.
Aliens have landed. You believe in aliens?
Yeah, definitely. I'll tell you, where I was brought up.
Maybe that woman with the mask was an alien. Have you not thought of that?
It was just weird.
So maybe she was from a different planet. And she just happened to be having a wander around that morning.
I know a couple of burns victims. And no, it's completely different. It's just one of them head scratches. I don't know. I've been watching all them first Twilight Zones, first 5 series from 59 to 64, I think. And there's some really good stories in there, your head shredders type things, with people that think they're alone in this little tumbleweed town, and it turns out that they're really part of a US naval experiment to see if man could cope with isolation.
They were good. Are they still on them things?
No. I got them on a well-known website for 5 books series.
But like every one of the superstates that preceded it, it has one iron rule. Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
So getting back to this woman with metal face.
Yeah, I turned around.
She were gone.
Yeah, but there's a kind of a bush, large bush, that would have hid her had she veered left. So I'm unsure, mate, but it was just one of them weird feelings in life that you get. This is strange. And I got another one. I'll tell you about that UFO I saw. I was on an old bus, a Sherabang, going to doctors. It was a beautiful day, low hanging cloud. And the bus, because it was so old, it was taking ages to get up this hill, Potter's Hill. And I immediately saw this silver disc just hovering there. And as soon as I look at it, this old couple that are at the front of the bus, she's nudging her old fella. Look. So there's something, the disc was definitely there. And it just hung there. And then it just went into cloud. I thought, that's strange. And it was before drones as well. Early 90s. So they weren't a thing.
Mm.
But I remember getting back from a gig once, that played at Bournemouth, played about in front of 8,000 people. Long journey home, back to Yorkshire. And I was having a cigarette. I was lent out I've got a balcony at the front. And it was one of them beautiful, silent mornings where you can just see these pricks of stars. No cloud whatsoever. And I was watching this little star come across, thinking, oh, it's a satellite. Because I always think of the most logical thing first. I'm not an excitable fearmonger. And I'm watching this thing, and just as it gets like nearly over where my gutterings shine, it just stops and goes at 45 degrees. And I thought, well, that's definitely not a satellite. So it's not a plane, it's not a chopper, it's not hedgehogs. And that has been a reason some people have said in the past for UFOs. It's hedgehogs.
Hedgehogs?
Hedgehogs, yeah.
What do you mean? What? Somebody's chucked them in the air or something? What do you mean, hedgehogs?
4. No, somebody once said a famous UFO case, this thing in the sky, it possibly could have been hedgehogs. And just like, clutching at straws there, aren't they? Hedgehogs.
There's an explanation for most things, isn't there? 99%. If your mind can play a lot of tricks on you, can't it?
Oh, yeah. So there's got to be something else outside of what we can perceive.
Well, a bit like dogs, animals, how they can pick up.
Well, our dog once did that. She was a very intelligent red setter. And she, tail wagging, she was happy. She started looking at the wall next to the staircase door, just like transfixed with something that wasn't there. And weird.
I used to live in my old house, and there was something strange in there. I mean, things like, I lived on my own at the time, and there were, like, the fire used to just come on its own, the electric fire. I'd be sat there, next thing, there'd be steam coming out of the iron. The iron had turned itself on. I had a party one night, and one of the lads, we were all sat out in the back garden. So he said, "Who's that woman who's just come in?" And I said, "What woman?" He said, "Woman in the room with a long dress on." And so I said, "There's no one come in." So I went into the room, and I got the weirdest, coldest feeling ever. It was horrible, but I didn't see nothing. So I come back out, I said, "What are you on about?" And anyway, one of the other lasses who were there at the time, she says, "Yeah, I saw that woman in the room." And there was no one there. But that house, it had such a horrible, it was weird. From the moment I lived there, I always felt like there was another presence there. It were horrible. Horrible. I was so glad when I left that place. It was just...
Did you ever see anything?
No, but loads of weird things happened. And sometimes the dog just used to go mad for no reason. And like, all the hairs on her back used to stand up. She'd leg it out. Just strange, weird place.
Do you unplug your appliances now?
Well, they weren't in the first place. This was the mad thing. They weren't on, but they regularly used to turn themselves on. Or stuff used to move. So I'd put something down somewhere, go in the kitchen, come back, go to pick it up, and they were at the other side of the room. Mm. And that weren't just a one-off. So sometimes you can forget you've put something somewhere, can't
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
Honest to God, look, it happened. It was just, and it happened regular. And every time stuff like that happened, you got a horrible, horrible feeling. Hairs on the back of your neck used to go up and give you the shivers. It was horrible, horrible place.
I'm not sure about the other side. I think if you believe in the other side, then you've got to have some kind of religious bent, really.
So do you believe in afterlife or
I'm not sure.
reincarnation?
Well, I was dragged up Catholic, but everything in that teaching kind of, what we were being taught at school, etc., and in church was different to what Jesus was. So he was like this cool, hippie, anti-government kind of figure. And no one that was preaching his kind of word was. They were the complete opposite. So when I was in short pants, I was like, this is a lot of bullshit, this, really. And it took me, I think when my dad died, I was thinking, wow, it's not religion and God and all this kind of afterlife and prayer. It's offered me nothing. You know, you're born, you die, that's it, get over it type thing.
See, I think religion was started for a couple of reasons. One, as discipline and to teach people right and wrong, especially kids. Over the years, it become more of a control thing. So people have used it to control people and control their thinking, control their ways.
That's a big point, though, ethics, that I suppose I would class myself as a non-believer now, although I've studied Buddhism for 20 years, which is not a religion.
What do you mean it's not a religion?
Well, there's no deity, there's no God, it's all about you. You've got to get your mindset in order.
I can go with that. I can go along with that.
Yeah, I suppose it's the complete understanding of the laws of cause and effect. Do good, good comes back to you type thing.
Karma.
Yeah, the wheel of action. Yeah. But I don't know, Den. I think that we're getting dangerous territory when people say that they do, and then it leads to all kinds of division and whatnot.
Well, I mean, look how religion's used to divide people now throughout the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy how it's dividing people and how people are using it for their own good, money making, whatever other methods, or just sheer control. It's used for control so much.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Islam. Islam at the moment, it's people can't talk about this. You can't, all this that's going on. Charlie Hebdo stuff and all that went off in France. And, I mean, who decided that you can't criticise a religion?
Well, there's a salient point there, which is that religion gave us morals, and it didn't. Because if mankind hadn't had morals hundreds of thousands of years ago, then all the tribes would have been wiped out, because everyone would have been just slaughtering one another. But even at that time of cavemen, we had accepted rules. Don't do this because you'll get ostracized from our gang and you'll die on your own because it's a dangerous world out there. So when the religious people tried to tell us, well, we learnt good from bad, God taught us this kind of thing, I think you've got to repudiate that. That's bollocks, because we had that thousands of years before.
Everything that's happening today, in our world today, a lot of it doesn't make sense. Does it?
No.
That guy in Scotland, the Hamza, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
You know, the First Minister, SNP.
Yeah.
Well, he's just resigned, just heard this morning. And I was thinking when I was watching that, and they were showing different speeches he'd made. One of the things I really don't get, and it doesn't make sense to me, is they want freedom which I believe in. Everybody should have freedom. I think everybody's country should be free. You shouldn't be ruled by others. But they want freedom from Britain, from England. But they want to go in the EU, which is going to control them. Much at the moment, they're linked up with England, but they've got their own parliament. They make their own laws. They've got their own money. So they get the freedom from that, and then join the EU. What currency are they going to use? The euro. They're going to have to do what they're told.
Even more so.
A lot more so.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense, you know what I'm saying? So everything that seems to be happening in our lives, especially over the last 10 years, none of it makes sense.
You've got to have this mindset that no one's going to tell me what to do anyway. Had people all got that mindset in Britain alone, 2020, there wouldn't have been lockdowns. Because the whole population would have said, screw you, I'm going out, getting some fresh air and sunshine.
What, you mean you went out before Boris told you you could?
I have to admit, I was out every day exercising, meeting people, never wore a mask, wouldn't have any injections whatsoever. No. Not for
Here.
You know what? I got an old-fashioned flu. First time in, I think it was about 15 years. I got a flu Christmas week, and I felt like death warmed up for 6 days. And guess what? I got better.
I don't know if it makes the life easier in their minds, that they don't have to make their own decisions. Somebody else is making it for them. And I think some people like that. Yeah. There's, in everything, every walk of life, there's leaders and there's followers, isn't there? Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, there's too many followers.
Yeah.
But the trouble is, these days, they're following the wrong people. They're following idiots like Boris, Keir Starmer, Matt Hancock. I mean, Tony Blair. I mean, how's he still wandering about and butting his nose in on politics? And he's got his own foundation now. And rumour has it he might be the next leader of the WEF when Klaus Schwab's toes curl up, which...
Yeah, a new friendly face.
Which is possibly going to happen quite soon.
Yeah. I wonder what Tony did to get in that club.
Maybe what he were doing in the toilets when he weren't Tony. Have you heard about that one?
Yeah. I saw a programme the other day. I got it recorded for me. A mate says, watch this. It was about Gary Glitter. Speaking of
don't tell me
Tony Blair, stroke Gary Glitter.
Don't tell me you went to his concert, please.
I've got this great
Can't imagine you in 6-inch glitter heels.
Only on Tuesdays, that day. No, I've always had this great thing that I've never liked certain people. I never liked him. I never liked Jonathan King. I never liked Jimmy Savile. Never liked quite a few.
Rolf Harris.
Yeah,
Rolf
yeah.
Harris. It were obvious he were wrong. Look at these songs. Two Little Boys. Tie me kangaroo down. Christ almighty.
Yeah.
The signs were all there. Why didn't people pick up on it? I've got to wonder what he did with that kangaroo.
Wow.
When he tied it down.
Yeah. Never liked him. I can't stand him.
What do you reckon happened there?
I don't know. But back to Gary Glitter. This new programme, like, we're going to shed light on this, and it's got I don't know whether to call them victims because they're just innocent children, but it's got those girls, and I think there's a boy as well, telling that I had to go through this in court, and then they weren't believed at first, even though I think it was the News of the World published Glitter Bed's 14-year-old or something like that. But the newspapers were more obsessed with him actually being bald. Like, no one knew it was a wig. And people just read past the actual horrific main story of this, that he was, child admirer. Let's put it for YouTube terms. And it took these children years to get the case back in court. And I think Glitter had then he'd been to the soft targets of Cambodia and Thailand or Hong Kong, these kind of places where middle class kind of men go for easy relationships, let's put it that way. And it bloody took them years, God love them, to get this monster finally back in prison for hopefully forever.
Did you ever come across him when you were gigging and that? No.
Oh.
No, that's a serious question.
No, we met a lot of famous people from U2 downwards, but hopefully no perverts.
You'll have come across one or two.
Well, I think it's just right.
Whether you knew it or not.
Yeah. Well, judges, politicians. The Hollywood casting couch is another thing, isn't it? Because you remember tales of, I read autobiographies and biographies of people like Mae West, Lana Turner, Marilyn Monroe, Jane Mansfield, all the greats, as it were. And Margaret Rutherford, that's a joke. And they all said that they had to go through really, really bad things on the casting couch with producers that treated them like dogs. I mean, I think some of them made Harvey Weinstein look like Dalai Lama, really. I don't think it's got much better over the years. What about them young lads as well? Corey Feldman, Goonies actor, and all his friends, they said they were treated like me.
What, hey, you guys?
Yeah, probably not him.
You never find stuff when you're looking for it, do you?
That says a lot about life, that, doesn't it?
The EU and how figures are manipulated. And do you know, by votes, we kept being told it was votes, and there was 17.5 million voted leave, 16 million to remain. And it was 48%.
Yeah.
But when you break down all the figures there, that was a load of bullshit.
Mm.
Because by constituency, there was 406 constituencies voted leave. There was only 242 to remain.
A lot less.
That's a big difference. By constituency, by party, there was Labour, 148 voted leave, 84 remain. Conservative, 247 leave, 80 remain.
Wow.
And by region, there was 12 regions, there was 9 voted leave, 3 remain. By MPs, and this is the important thing, there was 160 MPs voted leave, 486 remain. So where's the problem? Brexit's not the problem, is it? It's the MPs who are the problem.
Yeah.
They didn't want it, and
No.
they don't. Because the people voted for it, they never got over that fact. They can't accept it. And that's why they've gone out of their way to make Brexit a failure.
Every permutation of it took them a long time, and things were battled back through the House of Commons, House of Lords, then another vote on this, another white paper. And it was just a facade and a farce, wasn't it? It took years to get even a little bit of what the majority voted for. As we've said before, you're voting for the same thing if you vote for Labour or
Two
Tory.
cheeks of the same arse, aren't they?
Yeah, because Tory recognised that they had to go more left, swinging with certain policies. And MI5, there was no way that MI5 were going to let Jeremy Corbyn become Prime Minister. No way on God's earth.
Oh, Jezza.
Yeah.
What did you think to him, step two?
Like a Bernie Sanders, but a British version. Mind you, Bernie's a multimillionaire, isn't he?
Aren't they all?
Yeah. Champagne socialism. Don't you love it? I like that he didn't do the theatrics when he was in the House of Commons, when they're all appearing like monkeys.
Have you ever sat and watched the House of Commons and like question time, not question time, Prime Minister's question day on a Wednesday.
Yeah, and that way you walk in, I've stood there as the politicians have come and gone. It's,
you look at them, how they're behaving in that place, and if that was anywhere else in any other part of society, they'd all be screaming to get everybody locked up.
yeah.
They act like a bunch of thugs and nutters, don't they?
Yeah, and have you noticed how busy it is when they're voting on a pay rise?
On the pay rise. Yeah, and then you get people like Andrew Bridgen, who's bringing up very, very serious questions in there. He gets a 3-hour debate the other week, and there's, half a dozen of them in there.
Yeah.
But the public gallery was full, and they cheered after he finished his speech that much and that loud. The deputy speaker, the woman, I forget her name, she threatened to clear the public gallery. They've got the right to go in that public gallery and express the appreciation of what he was saying. So that in itself tells you how low that place has come.
It's such a shame as well, because if you read through, this is a long shot for most people, but if you read through some parliamentary speeches from even 200 years ago, they were a much more articulate, intelligent breed of politician. I mean, the world was, I think we've dumbed down anyway in certain areas.
And that goes back to how many of them have been honey trapped and caught in dodgy situations. That for me, in our politics today, I think that wants scrapping, that the whips.
Yeah.
Because how is that representing the people? They're just representing the party, and whoever makes up the party rules. So that's not a way to represent people, is it? I've travelled to a lot of places. I've been in a lot of cities. And I've been in New York 5 or 6 times. Never really appealed to me.
Interesting.
One time I did really enjoy New York. It was in the winter, and it was snowing, heavy snow. And I liked it then. It felt like, I suppose it's like I used to see it in the movies when you were a kid. But
yeah, you got that vibe of Christmas.
And I went, that time, I went to Madison Square Garden to watch a heavyweight boxing title fight.
It's round, isn't it?
And it's, and the atmosphere there was amazing.
Yeah.
I was stood talking to her. I went to the snack bar to get a drink, and I got talking to this little black lad at the snack bar.
Yeah.
Next thing, we were surrounded by hundreds of people, all just vying for his autograph. I didn't have a clue who he was, and I still don't know. And everybody's saying, "Don't you know who you were talking to?" And I didn't have a clue, but he was apparently a very famous rap star. But I still, to this day, couldn't tell you his name.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's a pointless story, but that's just something that sticks out from Madison Square Garden.
All in New York. Yeah. I played pool against Reese Witherspoon. I met this female comedian.
In Witherspoons, or?
Yeah, I didn't know who she was. I don't care anyway with actors unless it's, an old classic.
John Wayne.
John Wayne, yeah. Yeah, because all the Americans, Gary Sauer and myself, were working in middle of Manhattan. And we used to play in snooker, aren't we, in this country? 12 feet tables. I'm crap at that, but pool's easy compared to snooker. And we were banging balls left, right, and centre. But I remember we went to a bar called the Bull Moose, which is in central Midtown Manhattan. And apparently I'd been stood on the pool table singing Bruce Springsteen songs to these veterans, and everyone was going crazy and crying because 9/11 had just happened type thing. And it was an absolutely crazy night. And I went the following day, which was Sunday. And I felt, oh my God, I felt rough. And I knocked the beautiful barmaid up. She was just opening the shutters. "A pint of Guinness, please." Sitting there sweating.
You pay maintenance for that.
And this owner comes down. He looked like me, but he's a bit more, a bit heavy, bit fatter. And and he just looks at me and says, "You look like I feel like you look." And then he starts going off this reel of what Gary and myself have been doing that night. And I was like,
So
"Sorry,
that was
dude."
a polite way of saying you look like shit.
Yeah, we did. Oh God, I never drank so much in my life. Simon Weston, he came into Happy Harry Hamburgers Emporium, which was just down from our digs.
You couldn't say that when you were pissed.
I could not, no. I've got a right story about Happy Harry.
Go on then, let's have it. What was Happy Harry?
He's got an hamburger. Simon Weston comes in with two...
Was that the lad who got blown up in the Falklands? What?
Yeah, Welsh guards.
Yeah.
He got badly burnt. Chris had him on the podcast. Well, from Wales. Nice chap. Dead right. And I says to Gary, "Simon Weston there, that's just walked in." He says, "How do you know?" And I went, "Well, I recognise him, you know."
He's got a metal mask on.
Don't start with that one. That is spooky, that. Anyway, Harry, we were in there momentarily on the first couple of nights. We were working quite a bit to about 6, and then we just went out getting drunk while about 3:30 in the morning. They said New York doesn't shut. It does. It really does. We were many a time hunting for bars that were still open. And we were up at 6. So we survived on about 3 hours.
That the city that never sleeps is a load of bullshit. The only city I've ever been in that never sleeps is Berlin.
Yeah, true.
Berlin, you can go and do something 24/7.
Yeah. Can do a lot.
I used to be able to. I mean, I haven't been for a few years, but I spent a lot of time in Berlin. What a city.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah.
Nearly the end of me.
I like Germans. I do. It's weird, isn't it, being English? And I think of all the European countries...
They're very similar to us, to be honest.
Yeah. I like the food. I like the rock music.
But the jokes are shit.
They are, yeah. We got it. We did a gig in Ireland for a guy in, I think it was Cavan and Navan, and lots of his family were from Germany. Great kid, and it was an open-air festival, and we were playing, and we were looking at the mountains, and when you sang in sound check, your voice came back from the mountains, and it was absolutely surreal. It was beautiful. And he says, "Oh, meet my friends and family. They're from Germany," and there were loads of them. And 3 of the band says to me, "If we'd have been older, we'd have been fighting against these, wouldn't we?" And I went, "You wouldn't be fighting against anyone, you puss." But I says, "No, cut that out. It's long gone," type thing. They're great kids, you know, it's just like us, just different accent, that's all. So what happens? These German guys come around. Yeah, you got to drink. Yeah, Kaiser, Daniel, Kaiser, so schon Sie kennen Sie lernen. Wie geht es Ihnen? And then what happens? First guy, he starts telling a joke about the Jews. Oh, I didn't know where to put my face. You know, you got 3 English lads like going, yeah, that's funny, that type thing. And they're rolling about these Jewish jokes. I'm thinking, no, please, this is just so stupid, this. But I like Germans. I've dated a couple of German women as well.
I spent a lot of time in Germany and had some great time. God, I could write a book on it. We did the real Wiedersehen Pet. Yeah. For real. I mean, I don't know if you ever watched that programme, Luke. It were funny. Yeah. But we saw the real thing. It were mental. Mm-hmm. Like going back to German jokes, we used to go in this pub Heiko's. And this Heiko will run it. Not Heiko, Milko, sorry, got it wrong. Milko. Heiko was another lad, I'll tell you a funny story about him. So Milko, he's running this bar, and he always wanted all the contractors to tell him jokes. And then he used to translate them to all his German friends. So, but then he used to tell us his German jokes and translate them into English. And when it's translated, it doesn't make no sense whatsoever. It's just... So Milko used to tell us these jokes, and he was laughing his bollocks off. But we're all just like, what's he on about? It was just, honest to God, it were crackers. So this Milko's, first night I ever went in there, all the lads are in there. Oh, they used to drink up Schonhauser Alley. And goes in the first night. There's all these characters who's working with us. And there's a lad there called Willie Fishpole. So there's this, they're all smoking and that and just having crack, all the contractors. And there's these Germans sat across from us. And one of them, he's got a guitar and he's singing very poorly. So this Willie Fishpole...
Weren't Tusbury?
This Willie Fishpole says, he's getting on my fucking nerves. So all lads are getting, I just fucking hate it. He's getting, no, he really is getting on my nerves. And he won't let it drop, and all lads just fucking ignore him. Yeah. He says, no, I've had enough now. He's fucking really getting on my nerves.
I'm going to be bleeping these out then.
Sorry about that, but... So Willie gets up, grabs his guitar off him and smashes him straight over the head with it. And he's sat there. Have you ever seen these cartoons?
Yeah.
And this German sat there with a guitar around his neck. That's a true story. Another one at Milko's, you'll like this. We had this mad kid working with us called Gary from Manchester.
Sounds mad.
Oh, he were crackers. Absolute potato cakes. He were absolute nuts. But he's knocking this bird off who worked behind the bar in Milko's. So Gary goes in every night and she's feeding Gary with free beer every night. And he's there 7 nights a week. Yeah. And he liked to drink. So Milko finds out that she's giving all his beer away to Gary and sacks her. Hiker the biker, we used to call her. She's dressed like a biker. And so Gary goes down to Milko's, banging on the door, tells Milko he wants him outside for sacking his bird, even though she's been feeding Gary for about 6 months with free beer. So Gary sees Milko through the window. The window's here, the door's there. What's Gary do? Dives straight through the window to get to Milko. He could have gone through the door, but in Gary's wisdom, straight through the window. So the punters are sat there. Gary comes flying through the window. They're all covered in glass. Gary's cut all over the place, and he gets hold of Milko, and so he's rolling around the floor with Milko. Because Hiker the biker's been sacked. That's just another story of Berlin. The things that used to happen there, I could go on all day.
When we were in Portugal, I think for the second time around, the 2 managers had run out of money. They were struggling with things and they didn't want to tell us about it, type thing. And so Carlos said to us, I've got this other club guy that's been asking me, could I provide a Rolling Stones tribute type thing? He says, do you guys know any Rolling Stones numbers type? I says, well, I can knock a set off. They're not hard. And drummer Dean, he says, yeah, I'll jam to Charlie Watts type thing. Wayne, singer at the time, he says, yeah, let's do it type thing. And so Carlos is joyous. He's like, oh, you saved me skin, lads. You know, thank you about this. It'll be a good night. It's just, you play Rolling Stones, they'll all get drunk, and then you get paid a lot of money just for an extra gig type thing. And as soon as I said yes, I was just thinking no. And we'd been drinking all day long anyway, as it were. And I remember coming up these hotel steps, big stone steps, walking into Wayne's room as a singer at the time. And there's this French makeup artist there, very gay. And I looked at Wayne, what he'd done to him, and I just set off laughing. I just couldn't stop laughing. It was the funniest thing in my life I've seen. I set off laughing, drummer Dean, he sets off laughing. Everyone within earshot is just laughing. And Wayne sat there. And I said, he looks like more like Elizabeth Taylor than Mick Jagger. The French makeup artist. He says, I'm a makeup artist, not fucking plastic surgeon. I seriously pissed him off. So anyway, we get in this tour bus, and it's like night time because Portugal, you used to play very late time gigs, and we didn't know where we were.
So we were that bad, he had to make him a metal mask.
Keep over that.
Does it taste the honey?
It's all right, but it's like pop, isn't it, Jack Daniels?
Yeah, but that's honey, is it?
Yeah, you can taste that in it. But,
I might sample a little bit of that.
yeah.
Another time we went to Amsterdam, we arranged a trip, a pub trip. There were 17 of us went, I think. So I copped for organising it. So I says, I starts phoning round for hotels, we booked all the flights. So we've got a flight sorted, trying to get us an hotel. How many? 17. Sorry, don't take parties that big. Then it was couples or males. Sorry, can't accept it. So about 3 days I've spent then trying to get hotels. I've exhausted everything. So I phones this fella, this hotel, just off Dam Square. So he says, party of 17, is it males? I said, yeah, sorry, I can't accept it. I says, well, hang on a second. I says, we're actually a brass band and we're playing a gig in Dam Square. Oh, in that case, that's okay. So books it. This is about 4 weeks later, we're going. So gets to Schiphol Airport, gets the train into the centre, comes out of the train station, and I'm lagging back. So I've told the lads, we're just down here on the right-hand side, the name of the hotel. And little Tony was with us. He's like off at the front, marching away down to find the hotel. We're all chatting and laughing, having a good crack on the way down. Next thing I see is Tony coming towards me. He says, you need to get down here now. So, what for? He says, come and speak to this bloke. He says, I don't think he's going to let us in. So I walks in, goes up to the counter, and it turns out he was a German, funny enough. German in Holland. And I walks up, and I says, is there a problem, mate? And he says, where are your instruments? Well, I forgot that I've told him this.
Yeah.
So Tony's going, see, what's he on about? Instruments. He's asking for instruments. Anyway, we got the answers, they're being delivered later. So every time we went in over that weekend, he's there. Where are the instruments? Oh, God. So we got through in the end.
That's so crazy, dudes. I don't know whether I finished that last story, but Colchester, we've got 2 lesbians, really good-looking girls. I thought, I'll cure them. That's a joke, YouTube. And one of Robert Plant's ex-groupies, and she was still with the 1960s. She a little bit Diwali. This was Colchester. That turned into a raucous night. They were having I can't say this on YouTube. I'll tell you later. It's disgusting.
Well, say it and just cut it.
Well, it's waste time saying it.
Save it for another channel.
And then we did another gig which was kind of mid-Wales. And I was saying to the singer, "Are you sure this gig's still on?" And he was like, yeah, trust me, I know what I'm doing. We get to the venue, it's all boarded up. Yeah, you really know what you're doing, don't you? So this promoter turns up, luckily enough, and he says, guys, sorry, we've had a little bit of bad luck. I will still pay you. Come back to my house and I'll sort you out. All right then, no problem. So we went back to his house and he paid us most of it in real cash. Good old 20s. And then he paid us in a house brick of white participation. So we didn't think, yeah, thanks very much, mate. We've got a gig in London then the next night. So we thought, well, we'll get down there and we'll go out tonight, as it were, and then get ready for the gig next night. We knew the gig in London was sold out anyway, so it was going to be a good night. And so from Wales to London, I've got this brick of whatever on my knee, and we're just chipping away at it, talking. By the time we got to London, we'd had a good eighth of this brick. I mean, we were in that good spirits that we parked the van with like £30,000 worth of gear anywhere in London. Come on, we're out, type thing. Went straight to a bar, nightclub, picked up these women, woke up the next morning, my God, didn't know where we were, didn't know where each other were, didn't know whether we parked the van. We knew we had a big gig type thing. Eventually, luckily enough, we'd kind of teamed up in the same area, and it was like south east London. And we'd still got this big brick in the van. I mean, you could have broken into the van just for this brick alone, let alone our musical gear type thing. And we ended up at I think it was the venue in, I forget what area it is in London, but it was sold out. It was like 1,500 people. And I remember we were in the changing room just sorting out set and getting ourselves together, and the promo come in. Like, you got all the beer that you want? You got your whiskey and whatnot? Yeah, no problem, mate. And sound guy comes in with his earpiece and clipboard with the set list on, and he looks at this big block of white powder, and he says, "Jesus, you guys live the rock and roll lifestyle." You can have it if you want, mate. We've had enough type things. So we're carrying this big brick about that could have got us like 5 years each, just around where we were for the next couple of days. Couldn't get rid of it. But
so you got paid by sherbet dip.
Sherbet dip, yeah. But one of the gigs in London as well, we were next to the female toilets. And that was a really bad idea, because you get all the most beautiful girls congregated in our capital, Swedish, Australian, American, etc. And we used to leave the changing room door open. You would, wouldn't you? And we were getting changed and half naked. So all the girls that were going to the toilet and that had a smoke and a beer and whatnot, you're the band, aren't you? And it's like debauchery in that changing room. It's really bad. I remember having the most beautiful Swedish blonde on my knee one night. You know, when you fall in love for like 4 hours type thing. Absolutely incredible women at that time.
Best be careful what you're saying here, look. You're going to end up like Russell Brand. Because of things that he's said in the past, he's been very open about everything, hasn't he?
I think Russell's problem is that the things that he may have said actually to the women that would have landed him in trouble.
Yeah, but none of these women who he's accused of doing whatever seem to have come forward, do they? Do you think was he getting a bit near the knuckle with some of the stuff that he's saying on his channel?
You don't have to be stupidly overt with it and arrogant. Just be nice to a woman. That's all women want.
Yeah, but the trouble is when she turns around, all sweetness and...
Hello, mate. My name's
Told you. I think you'll get quite a lot of that today, won't you? I mean,
I just think young guys have not been led enough to be.
why do you think
masculine.
it's become fashion to like?
Is it? Are we imagining it? Do young lads go out today and, hey babe, how are you doing all the time?
No, I mean fashion to have your nuts chopped off. What's all that about? That seems to be happening a lot, doesn't it? What's going off? What is going off?
I feel.
In all seriousness, how many lads growing up have you come across who I might have my nuts off?
None.
I know it was a saying at one time, I might get my nuts off, but they're literally doing it now.
I feel sorry for people that feel that they are in the cusp.
In the wrong body.
Yeah. Every sympathy for people such as that. It must be a difficult life.
They're getting the rough end of the stick with it all, as are women. Women are getting...
Yeah.
And what I don't understand, where's all these women livers? Why aren't they fighting for what's going off with all this?
True.
This lot, because they seem to be like taking women's rights away.
I absolutely adore women, but I think they are getting the shitty end of the stick with this trans agenda from the minority. Women have gone through so much to get the vote, World War I, and then some kind of equality. I mean, God love them. And then now they're getting subjected to this agenda that could abate some of the equality that they've attained in the past. I think it's intolerable, that. I think it's awful.
We should be looking at who's pushing this shit, though, shouldn't we?
Yeah. Well, who is pushing it? I'm not pushing it.
No.
You're not.
There's no normal people pushing it. It's being led from everything that's wrong in our world. That's where it's all coming from. And it starts at places like Davos.
Yeah.
WEF. What an organisation. What kind of organisation is that? Yeah. And how have they got so many people to fall into line with what they're doing? Again, there's got to be an agenda there that's being pushed from that end. And it's got to go back to honey traps. All these people can't fall into line with their ludicrous ideas.
Why have these transsexual type people reading stories to children? I think it would be far more beneficial to have disabled people reading children's stories, because children are more likely to interact with disabled people. So they get used to that. And women with metal faces as well.
Yeah, or even elderly people who are lonely.
Yeah,
Do you know, like from
veterans.
Care homes and stuff like that, or veterans, or anything like that.
Yeah.
But whoever's come up with this crazy idea that a man in a frock is good for a 7-year-old kid to be looking up to as some sort of role model.
They say America's the land of the free, but it's the companies that have come out from America that are curtailing free speech now. It's not European countries or African countries. So all this seems to be coming from the United States, a country that is not yet 250 years.
Unfortunately, for us, whatever happens in America, we follow suit.
Yeah, I've heard that said a lot, but like Winston Churchill said, America is at its best when it follows Great Britain. And that is a true statement, that.
It might have been years ago. I don't know who would want to follow us today with the lunatics that's running our shit show.
Well, yeah, I think it's the grass is green scenario, isn't it? I mean, would you like to have been born somewhere else? Mars aside.
Well, I was born somewhere else.
UK, yeah. Other than UK.
No, Ireland. I was born in Ireland.
Well, yeah, I thought you were Belfast.
Ireland.
Semantics. My family actually is Irish royalty, because straight back lineage to Maguires. Yeah. Unbelievable, isn't it? Looking at me. You won't believe that.
So the King of Ireland.
Could be me. Yeah. Yeah. I should take that throne back, I think. Yeah. And then meet with Charlie, sausage fingers.